So no fins. I'm going to talk about when I first had to remove the fins, which was at my farm in Northern California called Winding Road Farms. It was a half-acre cattle ranch and very compacted from grazing, but a lot of really good organic material, really nitrogen rich. It was a great plot, but it was extremely sandy soil. I had previously farmed in Tennessee, where I was working with pretty heavy clay. So it was quite a bit of a learning curve and very new to me to have this incredibly fluffy, sandy soil. Uh, when I first started the plot, I had hired a guy with a tractor to just till the whole half acre and then chop up all that organic material. And then I let it rest under silage tarps for about 6 months to just really decompose and break down. And then I built my beds with BCS walk behind tractor with the rotary plow to do some raised beds. And then from there, just kind of shaped them. I was using the precision depth roller, which is basically like the power harrow, but it just allows you to set that tiller very shallow. So you're only working that top, maybe 2 to 3 inches. And I was really conscious of not wanting to pulverize my soil or overwork it, not only for the negative effects of the biology in the soil, but also because it was so fluffy. And if I did that, it would just literally become powder. So I had to be pretty conscious of that. So that's just a little context setting you up to how I had to adjust the transplanter for my context when I first started using it. So when it first arrived straight out of the box, I got it all assembled, was really excited. I had been eyeing these for years and really wanting to use the system. And on this farm, I was a one-man show. So it was the perfect context to put it to work. So I didn't adjust anything. I just left it all factory preset. And my first crop I was getting in the ground was Salanova lettuce. And as I started to pull it through, immediately I could see that all of the transplants were getting buried pretty substantially. So obviously had to stop and wanted to go through the steps that were recommended. I had scoured the internet, watched all the tutorial videos I could find and read up on it. So I knew what to do, but I just had to start working through the troubleshooting steps. So the first step was to just lift up on the handle. And what that does is it pulls that plow that's under the machine up a little bit out of the soil so that it doesn't make that furrow quite as deep, which will make your transplants hopefully not as deep and have less chance of getting buried. So I did that and it helped a little bit, not too much though. So I had to move on to the next step, which was to raise up the wheels under the handles of the machine. So I did that, kept raising them up, still too deep, all the way to the fully extended position where that plow is going to be at the shallowest setting underneath because it's lifted up out of the ground. And still it was getting buried. So moved on to the third step, which is to spread apart those fins at the end of the machine there. So I did that, just got a 10 millimeter socket, loosened it all the way and just pulled those things as far apart as I could. And still, it was not as bad as when I started, but it was still to the point where I would have to go back at the end of a row and basically brush off the soil that was partially burying some of the transplants. So after that, I just said, let's be done with it and completely removed the fins. And when I did that, it was finally working the way that it should. So I have a little video that I did because I was so excited that it was working. So you can see just the weight of the tamper wheels going along the side of the paper chains was enough to just push in that real fluffy soil just to the point where it was about equal with the top of the paper chain and the level of the soil, which really got it perfect. So that helped me. If you have a similar context, I highly recommend going no fins. It works great. And once you get it set up, from there on out, I didn't have to tweak with it anymore. I could really just leave it as is. And, my soil texture was pretty consistent over the whole plot. So I didn't have to worry about it again after that.